Breaking news from the Biden administration, which says that al-Qaeda has not reestablished itself in Afghanistan and is no longer a threat to the U.S. That announcement comes weeks after the killing of the group's leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in Kabul, and 1 year after the U.S. withdrawal of forces and Taliban takeover. Let's go to NBC's Mike Memley. He's in South Carolina, where the president is spending a working vacation. Mike, welcome to you on this Sunday. Here's the question. Why do you think this administration chose to release this declassified intelligence on a Saturday night? Because you would think Biden would want to tout this achievement during this week's pretty busy news cycle.
Well, Alex, those two milestones that you mentioned are really significant in terms of the timing here. First, this information was declassified exactly 2 weeks after the president gave the order for that strike that took out Ayman al-Zawahiri, the leader of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. And while that news was welcomed in Washington, there were some critics who raised the prospect that this maybe showed that the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan laid the groundwork for al-Qaeda to reconstitute itself there. So this is what that declassified intelligence counters last night. It says that al-Qaeda has not been able to reconstitute in Afghanistan, that al-Qaeda is not able to launch attacks on the U.S. or U.S. interests from Afghanistan, and that in addition, obviously, to al-Zawahiri, there were only about a dozen other core members of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan completely at this point, and they believe many of them had already been in Afghanistan prior to the fall of Kabul a year ago. But now to that other milestone, it was a year ago this week that we saw the fall of Kabul, followed, of course, in the following weeks by that chaotic withdrawal and ultimately the tragedy of the U.S. service members who were killed in a terrorist attack as part of those evacuation efforts. There has been a government-wide effort to really provide an after-action report to assess what went wrong, some of the decisions that were made leading up to and following the U.S. decision to pull out the U.S. military from that. And so while some of those after-action reports are going to be delayed, we may not necessarily see them on time for the anniversary, the intelligence that was declassified last night was very clearly, I think, part of that review. And so it was information that the administration had at the ready and wanted to get out at this point.
Okay. Well, as they say, hindsight 2020. Thank you very much, Mike Memley.
At least 41 people were killed and another 14 injured in a fire at a church in Egypt on Sunday. The blaze erupted at the church in Cairo around 9 a.m. local time during morning prayers. Officials said the cause of the fire was an electrical fault in an air conditioner on the church's second floor. An ensuing stampede and a huge amount of smoke also contributed to the deaths. The fire on Sunday marks one of the worst tragedies in Egypt's Christian community in recent years.
We start the programme with a developing story from Egypt, where more than 40 people are feared to have died and dozens of others have been injured after a fire inside a church. Now, these are just some of the latest images that we've received from outside the Abu Sifin church, which is in the Imbaba neighbourhood in the city of Giza. And sources at the scene are saying that an electrical fire broke out on the fourth floor of this building just before 9 a.m. local time, so early in the morning, and it happened as 5,000 worshippers gathered for Mass. Now, the sources added that the fire blocked an entrance to the church, causing a stampede, and they say that most of the people killed were children. Now, the Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, wrote on Twitter that he was closely following the developments of this tragic accident and that he has directed all concerned state agencies and institutions to take all the necessary measures and immediately to deal with this accident and its effects and to provide all aspects of healthcare for the injured. Now, he also added that he's offering his sincere condolences to the families of the innocent victims that have passed on to be with their Lord in one of his houses of worship.
So the former Secretary of State, one of the president's most important advisors on foreign policy and national security, had a server in her basement that had information that was collected from our most sensitive assets, and it was not protected by anyone, and that's not a crime? That's outrageous.
So remember that. Welcome to Cross Country, everybody. It is that sentiment that has many Americans asking tonight whether we have a two-tiered justice system in this country. Hillary Clinton was never held accountable for her private email server, but now we see an unprecedented raid at former President Donald Trump's private residence. Tonight we know the former president's lawyer certified in June that there were no classified material at Mar-a-Lago. And former President Trump maintains all the documents seized were declassified. He had the authority to do that as president. And again, Hillary Clinton had an entire private server. So why is justice being applied unequally? I flew down to Palm Beach, Florida, and spoke to Trump supporters outside of Mar-a-Lago to hear what they had to say about that. Watch. What is your view on the FBI and why they decided to raid the former president's property?
I think they're just a mafia, you know, being ordered by Ray.
And after this man, our ex-president, for so long, they're trying to find any kind of dirt they can pull up on him.
This is insane. I never see this happen in the United States. Biden has to go to jail. Hunter is the one FBI has to go and get it.
Everybody hates him on the left. I mean, he's the only person here that can really, you know, put these guys in jail and really drain the swamp. And that's basically, I mean, this has been going on now for over 6 years. Ever since he came down the escalator, they've been after him. Yesterday was the ultimate. We've never seen anything like that in my life.
I believe that they're trying to make it so he cannot run.
I think they're trying to attack the American people, and they're trying to go after the person who put us first and put our American godly values first. That's why I believe they're going after him, to intimidate us as Americans.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
We're also following breaking news from Washington. And first, we want to stress there's no information at this time into what motivated this. But a man is dead after he crashed his car into a barricade near the Supreme Court early this morning. Capitol Police say his car became engulfed with flames after the crash. He then got out of his car and fired several shots in the air. As Capitol Police approached, the man shot himself. No one was hurt. Joining me right now is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Rafa. So, Ali, what have we learned about who this man was and what his motive could have possibly been?
Yeah, Lindsay, I'm glad you stressed that off the top there. We're still not sure what the motive was here, especially because we know lawmakers are back home during this August recess. So that's something that Capitol Police say that they are looking more into as far as who this man was, where he's from. They say that they're aware of 2 addresses from Delaware and Pennsylvania that he's lived at, as well as a criminal record that goes back around a decade. But as far as his identity, they're waiting until notifying the next of kin before releasing that publicly. But once the sun came up today, that's when we saw really some chilling images after this crash that happened around 4 o'clock in the morning when this man plowed his car into this barrier right between the Supreme Court and the Library of Congress, really just a block away from the Capitol grounds. Capitol Police Chief giving an update this morning saying that in light of this, you know, the backdrop here, this rise in threats to law enforcement nationwide, that's also happening here at the Capitol. Take a listen.
There's always some chatter somewhere, and certainly the Capitol is a very high-profile target for a lot of folks, but that we had not had anything specific over the last few days that we would have had any idea that something like this would have happened. But I think, like law enforcement nationwide, we are on a higher alert. We have put some enhanced security operations in effect so that we can not only try and hopefully deter and prevent something like this from happening, but certainly respond very quickly to mitigate it if we have to.
So one big question now is how he was able to get so close to the Capitol. This barrier that he crashed into is a block away. He then, as you mentioned, went off on foot, shooting his gun into the air, and officers didn't respond to him and approach him until he was actually setting foot onto the Capitol grounds. So that's something that Capitol Police is definitely looking into, Lindsay.